Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Joydeep Shorangi, Faculty, Department of English, Jogesh Chandra Chaudhary College, University of Kolkata, Calcutta, West Bengal. Friends, we are into Module 29. This module is prepared by Dr. Shutonuka Ghosh Roy, who teaches English at Tarakeshwar Degree College. In this module, we are going to learn the Wars of the Roses. I think most of you are not familiar with these civil wars that took place in the British Island. Friends, before going into the module, let's have the objectives in front of you. It is a civil war in England that lasted from 1455 to 1487. In this module, we are going to learn about England in the 15th century, its people, with the emphasis on structures of society. The name of Wars of the Roses, prelude to conflict, the reign of Henry VI. The reign of Henry VI and the causes of Wars of the Roses. We will consider the role of the important personalities as well as discussing some of the long-term factors including social and economic issues that may have been pushed England towards civil war. The First War, 1455 to 61, then reconstructing a medieval battle, Totten, 1461, Fortune's Will, 1461 to 71, the second reign of Edward IV. Friends, we must now know the condition of England during that time, or we can say the social history of England during the 15th century. 15th century England was basically a rural and agricultural country. The main economic activity was production of food, and the most important event of the year was the harvest. To most of the economic historians, 15th century appears to be a period of prosperity and ease. However, the harvests were bad in the late 15th century. Wages became high because prices were low. Yet, this era brought fortunes to the landlords as a class. People with large firms were able to make huge profits, taking advantages of rising food prices. Agricultural innovations increased productivity per acre. On the other hand, the introduction of new crops and their periodic rotation on one hand that increased its long-term effect. For the first time in the history of England, the first enclosures were formally introduced. Previously, ploughed fields of nearly empty villages were fenced in to use to sheep runs. In this period, the main economic activity was agriculture and not industry. Most of the industrial production was not in factories but in the home. The cloth production was England's main industry and the major export. Other important industries included lead mining, that is at Derbyshire, coal mining, especially in the north of England, London was vastly larger than any other English city. It played a crucial role in the development of an integrated national economy of England. The upper class of the British society became more confident because they were mostly educated. Even the commoners started going to the universities, some to take degrees without any intention of becoming clerks or becoming a part of the educated society in England. English social structure was hierarchical, but it was somehow possible, although difficultly, to move up and down the social scale. Friends, you have the map of the Wars of the Roses on the screen. In this map, you can easily visualize how things were placed. Now, the timeline. If you start from the left, 1450, Henry VI, 1422 to 61, and 1472, 1471 in Lancaster. Then Edward IV, 1461 to 1470, and 1471 to 1483, that's York part, lasting to 1480s. Under 1490s, Henry VII, 1485 to 1509, Tudor, Edward V, 1483, Richard III, 1483 to 1485. Now friends, on the screen the great hall of Middleham, built by Richard when Duke of Gloucester. Friends, a source of inspiration for William Shakespeare. My Lord of Hereford, Henry IV, here whom you call king, is a foul traitor to proud Hereford's king, Richard II. And if you crown me, let me prophesy, the blood of English shall manure the ground, and future ages groan for this foul act. Peace shall go sleep with Turks and infidels, and in this seat of peace tumultuous wars shall keen with keen and kind with kind confound. Disorder, horror, fear, and mutiny shall here inhabit, and this land be called the field of Golgotha, and dead men's skulls. Oh, if you raise this house against this house, it will be awfulest division proof that ever fell upon this cursed earth. This is Shakespeare from Richard II, Act 4, Scene 1. Golgotha is a place of skulls. So in this, we have the tempo as we have been discussing. Friends, on the screen you have Muxloe Castle, the keep of Kirby Muxloe Castle in Lancaster. The castle was never completed because its builder, William Lord Hastings, he was executed for treason in June 1483. Here on the screen, Edward IV with Elizabeth and their son. The Angel Inn in Grantham, where Richard III stayed. Again on the screen, the Battle of St Albans, it took place on May 22, 1455. Now friend, The Battle of Blowheath in 1459. In September 1459, the Yorkists and the Lancashires met in a damp Sunday morning at Blowheath. Thousands of men, both the sides, died in this bloody battle. Thousands of men from both the sides died in this bloody battle from nearby Mookstone Church Tower. Queen Margaret Anjou watched the battle. Later she fled when she anticipated that the Lancastrians are going to lose. The Yorks won. Friend, here again a photo on your screen. The Lancastrians wins Yorkist deserts Battle of Ludford in 1459. Now, the Battle of Northampton, 1460. The Battle of Northampton on July 10, 1460. The Yorkist army under Richard Navelli, Earl of Warwick, the Kingmaker, captured King Henry VI. Friends, on the screen, Battle of Wakefield, which took place in the year 1460 AD. The Battle of Wakefield, Richard took a strong position at Sandal Castle and far outnumbered the Lancastrian army. Due to some unknown reasons, Richard left Sandal Castle, his stronghold, and was defeated by the Lancastrian army. Richard was killed in the battle. His son Edward of York now put forward his claim to the throne of England. Friends, next comes the Battle of Mortimer's Cross in the year 1461. On the screen, the Battle of Mortimer's Cross, which took place when the Yorkist army comprising Edward, Earl of March, intercepted a Lancastrian force under Jasper Tudor, Earl of Pembroke, marching towards England from South Wales. Friends, on the screen, Battle of Totten, 1461. The two armies met in the open fields between the villages of Saxton and Totten. The Yorkist army defeats the Lancastrians. Edward IV, Richard's son, marches into the city of York. Henry VI, the Queen, along with their son, flee to Scotland for 9 years. Edward IV is formally crowned as the King of Westminster, which is very historical in this particular context. Friends, then the Battle of Headley Moor, 1464. The Battle of Headley Moor, 1464. The Battle of Headley Moor was fought between Queen Margaret Anjou and the Yorkists under the leadership of Lord Montague. John Navelli, brother of Warwick. The Lancastrian force under the Queen was crushed by Montague and his forces. Sir Ralph Percy, the only holding force of the Lancastrians, was beheaded at Headley Moor, a place some miles south of Muller in Northumberland. Friends, then comes Battle of Hexham in the year 1464. Montague, trapped by the Lancastrian force with the river at their back and flanks, the Lancastrian resistance was put off. They fled. Somerset was caught and executed at Hexham. Lord Hungerford and Lord Ross were captured the very next day and put to death. King Edward IV was happy with the service of Montague. Henceforth, Montague was known as the Earl of Northumberland. Friends, then comes the Battle of Edgecote Moor in the year 1469. Richard becomes Richard III. After that, the Battle of Bosworth. The Battle of Bosworth Field, 1485. Battle of Bosworth Field, 22nd August 1485. King Richard III was killed and his supporters defeated at the Battle of Bosworth Field in Lancashire, and it was against Lancastrian forces led by Henry Tudor. And then comes the Battle of Stockfield, the last battle, 1487. The Battle of Stockfield, 1487, the last battle. The arch rivals of the Yorkists and the Lancastrians was fought in a small village near New York. The Yorkist faction was led by the Lambert Simnel and Henry VII. Henry VII quickly brought things under his control after a conflict about 3 hours. Simnel was imprisoned and the royal forces thoroughly surpassed the rival forces. Now friends, what is the impact of the Wars of the Roses? As civil conflicts, the Wars of the Roses were notable that they did not produce economic recession and widespread destructions. The Wars of the Roses left little mark on the common people of England, but the nobility incurred heavy losses. A large part of the aristocracy was killed. It was an implicit rule of the war to kill the nobles and not to the common people of England. The nobility of England thinned down. Some of the noble families disappeared forever from the map of England. The royal dynasty changed. There rose a new class in the English society, the merchants. The Wars of the Roses heralded the end of the medieval period in England and ushered in the new movement known as the Renaissance. The Wars of the Roses eventually established a strong dynasty on the throne of England, the Tudors, on the throne, and it took England out of the Middle Ages and brought it to the more modern era. We are to remember that during the wars, England ceased to be an important player in the European affairs. It is also a very important period for British culture and history. The Wars of the Roses has also been a vast source of inspiration for English authors like William Shakespeare. Quite a number of his plays, Henry VI, Richard II, are based on this era. This period has been a turning point in the history of England and will forever remain as one of the most important periods in the history of England. In this particular module, we tried to look back the importance of the Wars of the Roses, historical importance, social relevance, political implications, and its effect on literary studies. On the whole, the Wars of the Roses is a breakthrough from the Middle English period or from the Middle Ages. It had enormous impact on the ages to come. I hope you enjoyed this particular module very much. Thank you.